The last year and a half has been a challenging one, to say the least. A global pandemic, the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and football almost coming home, but not quite, and through the process revealing a racist underbelly of the very society in which we live in. Whoa, that was a whole lot, right? Core Educational Trust created Core LOT, an acronym for Leaders of Tomorrow, as a response to the social and political issues going on in the world, as a way to allow the students to autonomize their emotions and feelings and directly channel it in to changing the very society in which they live in, and therefore being a leader of tomorrow. With me, Fela Lufadeju, actor, mentor, at the helm of it all. Today, I have with me Year 10 student, Ethan James. Hey Ethan, what's good?
I'm good.
Yeah, good. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Yeah. How have you been? How's life?
Everything's been good, really. Like we're back at school and all.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're coming up to like the 6 weeks now. So yeah, I think everything's like coming to an end before I go back into year 11.
Into year 11? So you're going into like the last year of secondary school?
Yeah.
And what subjects do you do?
So I do all the core subjects, and then I do history, I do RE, business and Spanish. So them are the most, like, 4 topics I'm most passionate about, which will basically be key coming into the next year.
Nice.
And obviously we've got like a week left and a half.
Before the holidays.
Yeah.
So, cool. So I know that you're incredibly passionate about climate change, social equality and justice. So what led you to joining Core LOT?
Well, I was at my computer, every other day, we were working from home. And I remember going into, logging in the morning and just seeing this thing, saying, I can't remember exactly what it said, but I was like, that could be something that I get into. And to be honest, every day was kind of the same, so I needed something a bit different. So then when I read it and I was thinking about all the things I see on the news, like Black Lives Matter, literally just after the murder of George Floyd, and the global pandemic we're in, I thought this is a way I can express myself. And I've been writing poetry here and there before that, and I'd never really taken it properly serious to focus it into something that I'm passionate about. I think this allowed me to, really.
So how has it been? I've known you since September 2020. So we've worked together through this whole academic year, on those Thursday morning, early Thursday morning meetings that we've had, where we've discussed what's been going on in the world and how you feel about it and how you can autonomize it and how you can express yourself through your poetry or through your writing. How has that been for you?
I think that's been pretty cool, because I see the things on the news and then I go and meet with you and we just talk about it. Then I think you give me a little, a challenges or something to do. I'd write about something and then I'd read it to you and then I'd get feedback. And I'd when I'm writing stuff, I'd be able to debrief it and put it on paper. So I can look back at it. Today, I just look back at what I was thinking about that topic, and I think it's cool to look back on.
To have this, I know together we worked on this kind of book that you have over your poetry, and I loved the fact that you signed the bottom of all your poetry and you dated it, because it's almost like a signpost of the day that you wrote this and you signed it, and this is it almost made me feel like it was this artistic impression that you had, that you were taking yourself and your work and your expression of yourself quite seriously, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, nice. Well, you've written a speech for us, for us to deliver. So let's go to that section then. Yeah.
Has anyone told you the significance of one voice? One person sharing their beliefs and ideas? To be honest, no, they haven't. Because that one person can't be heard without others raising their voices with them. On this earth, to this day, there are 7 billion of us, and I'm sure our problems don't outweigh the number of us. And after the year of 2020 and the time we've had to sit back and watch the wonders and issues in our world so that we can finally wake up and seek change. When we all stand together for a cause, it's evident that we can get our point across. If we look back to the thousands that stood unharmedly for Black Lives Matter after the murder of George Floyd, which showed our ever-burning fire for change, because too many people are being killed and their stories are being silenced. When we stood together, we shone the light. Another major issue we face today is a climate crisis. We get told continuously about the issue and we put it off because we don't have to deal with it today. But we don't think about how our normal lives will affect tomorrow. During this year, the seas of Venice turned blue for the first time in years, and the skies were clear from pollution. This is because we actually stood back and our precious lives were on hold. These days we face dark times, where division forces us apart and our planet's being destroyed. But in the dark, our lights shine the brightest. The white helmets, the Black Panthers, suffragettes, Extinction Rebellion are all glimmers of light. But we need to stand together and become a light for the future, a light others can look to. However, just because we stand up for these issues today doesn't mean we can stop. Just because we're getting our normal lives back doesn't mean we can set aside these issues. Because if we do, another George Floyd gets added to the ever-longing list of casualties. Our planet continues to burn into an unchangeable state just because we prioritize the return of our normal lives. So we need to break down the barriers between one another because we all live on this planet together. Before we can be leaders of tomorrow, we've got to be leaders of today.
Ethan!
Thanks.
God, you really did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That was say it, yeah.
Yeah, that was impactful. That was powerful.
Yeah.
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 Your point about climate change and social justice really came across for me in that. So well done for that. Talk me through how it was coming up with that speech and how you came to that final product.
Well, first of all, I read through all my previous poems, like things that I was going to talk about. Like at first, I read like basically a poem version of it.
Yeah.
And then I was reading all the different parts I can use in like different sections of it. Then I started like writing it, but I didn't want to rush it all because then it'd be kind of a bit like rushed.
Yeah.
So I read little by little and like took some time to think about it and just like watch things on TV and get influences from there.
Yeah, where do you pull your influences from?
From the news and like different music and programs and stuff like that. Like I think you can gauge inspiration from anything that you like see or hear or whatever you sense around you. So like I was getting inspiration from different places and then just putting it into this piece of writing that I thought I needed to like speak out about, really. So like when I came to like the finished project, well, basically the first draft, I was like, I'm gonna leave this for a bit, then I'm gonna come back to it in like a day or so, then I'm gonna edit it and then like reread it. So I didn't want everything to be like basically rushed. Yeah, so that was it.
And that really came across, you know, the landing of the moments, you know, when you moved from the thousands that stood for Black Lives Matter, then you go into the climate change in the seas of Venice, and then you moved into the latter sections of the lights, you know, all shining a brighter light, you know, all our individual torches culminating together to have this huge light. That was a beautiful image, and you have a wonderful imagery about the way that you write.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this as well, because I mentioned at the beginning of the kind of introduction about the football, and I know you're a huge football fan.
Yeah.
So the question, I think we spoke off camera, and I was talking about, you know, like how do you reconcile being, having this social activism that you do and football, because football as a sport, you know, we know has this somewhat racist fan base, and as we saw in the Euros finals the other day. How do you feel about that?
I think, like, obviously we're sad that it didn't come home. I mean, like, and watching the penalty shootout and like the 3 black players missing it. I remember like watching it, and my brother came up with his comments saying like, "Oh, they better watch out for their accounts and put it on silent because of all the abuse that they're gonna face." Yeah,
it's a shame that that's our natural thought
that
in
will
this
come
society.
straight away.
Yeah.
Like I think I've seen this in the news, like all the racist abuse that the players get online, and it was kind of in the back of my head when I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And like to see that the next day on the news and that being acted out, and like all the graffiti on Marcus's Rashford's like paintings and all that across Manchester, it's like quite sad as a fan and a black boy at the same time, because like when they're playing well, like everyone's behind them and it's like it's coming home, everyone's like buzzed up. But like when they do like something like miss a penalty and then it loses like the Euros, everyone's on their back about it. Whereas we should be supporting them. like as you support like a different player, like a white player. Same way. I think it should go for every player.
Yeah, I think it just goes to say, and I think that what you're trying to say is that the imbalance, the implicit bias in which people have, and in this society is very insidious. So when something like that happens, when the players are in service of the greater agenda of the white racist demographic, it's fine. But as the moment in which those players step out of line or they make a simple mistake, the racist underbelly of the society begins to flare up to the top. And it's like, we really need, as a society, to be, with speeches like yours, to be actively looking beneath the very surface and bringing those things to the top and deal with it rather than just pretending that they're not there. So what does the future hold for you? Somebody that's written a powerful speech as you just wrote, you know, the social, political issues that are so pointed. I'm excited to see, like, what does the future beyond City Academy look like for you?
Well, I haven't really mapped it out. I mean, like, there's sixth form and college coming up for me after. I think writing's like a key part that will follow me through. Like, I think I need to keep up with the poetry.
Yes, you do. It's a gift.
Yeah, with the book that I've got, like, my mum encourages me to like keep it and like keep adding to it.
Yes.
And like at the moment, I'm showing to different classmates and stuff, like to get their reactions and their kind of thoughts about the topics that I'm talking about. So I think it'll be something that's defo I need to carry on with.
And if you could evaluate this last year that we've worked together, you know, since September, what do you think the benefits are that you have felt that has kind of affected you over the last year? What are the benefits of Core Law, of Leaders of Tomorrow program, would you say?
I think, like I said it in my speech, I think like the time that we've had to, like, our precious lives are on hold. Like, I think it's the time to reevaluate ourselves, because like before that we were just moving through everyday, like everyday motions, not really thinking. So now that we've had the pandemic and we've been inside, I think we've had time to think, like I know I have, and I had time to think about the people around me and like the world around me as a whole. I think Leaders Tomorrow has really kind of brought that out. Like, I'll talk to family members and friends, but I think it's good to talk to someone that will like ask me questions about it, like challenge me on things. And I think it's good to put it into poetry form, because that's kind of reignited my fire for that kind of writing. I think it's powerful. Like, literature is really powerful.
Yes, especially in your hands.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful to see the journey, for me, that you've gone on, you know, at the beginning where you were writing poetry, but it seemed somewhat tentative. And then through the process of the year to really feel you through the creative means in which we've both consumed. You know, you'd come to me with like, oh, you know, have you seen this film? Have you seen Small Acts? Have you seen this? And then have you pour all of that into the poetry form. And I think that poetry is just such a like thing that, like, songs are poetry to a certain degree, but when you write a series of words and you string them together and they feel like they grab at the very essence of who you are, or permeate through the chest, and you feel them as you do with your writing, it's a huge gift. Thank you for sharing your beautiful gift of a speech with us. As you can all see, Ethan's speech was wonderful, and a culmination of the hard work that he's put in throughout the process of this year. He's a gifted student, and we are all excited to see how he gets on in the future. Please do be sure to check out the rest of the films that are involved in this Core Lot program. Thank you.